All right, welcome into Who's Got Next, Michigan Football Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by Maize Blue Review. We are over on the On3 network with Rivals recruiting coverage. You can join us right now, Maize Blue Review. $1 for the first week. Give us a shot. Access to all On3 college content, all Rivals high school and recruiting content, all Michigan content, premium intel. The list is long, and access to our message board community, The Den. We're coming in today to talk about a couple commitments Michigan landed recently, and it's funny. It's summer still here. Football's around the corner, but we're starting to turn the calendar. 2027 recruiting picking up. QB is already dropping. We're going to take a look at Michigan's board at quarterback and a couple other big targets in 2027. No better person to do it with than the recruiting insider from Maize Blue Review, Mr. Aidan Sen. Sir, how you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. How about you? Oh, yeah.
Doing good.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. Can't complain. I want to start with a guy you had circled as a flip candidate for a long time, and that's safety Jordan Deck. His commitment to Baylor was, I don't want to say a surprise, but like kind of caught people off guard. But we've talked about this, I don't know how many times on the show, where Michigan plays this long game with recruiting, right? And sometimes other schools feel like their best shot at a kid is to push for that commitment on the official visit when the love for the program is at an absolute high and like, come on, man, you got to commit. And then they sit at home and start thinking through the pros and cons again and whatever it might be. And Michigan's answered all the questions, and Jordan Deck felt like, you know what, Michigan's probably where I want to be. If anything, I think the flip might have been sooner than some of us expected. But Jordan Deck, hard-hitting safety, back in the fold, heading over to Michigan. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that one was kind of interesting. I don't think Michigan really pushes that much in official visits to get kids to commit, like you see with other programs, which is why we probably saw him end up at Baylor, because they made a strong push for him over that weekend. And obviously as an in-state program, they've got strong ties to him, closer to home, things you'd expect. But he never dropped contacts with Coach Lamar Morgan after committing to Baylor. He remained a high priority for Michigan, as he's been for some time. I think I wasn't really expecting him to commit to Baylor. I don't think many people were. I think momentum did kind of drop off after that June 14th official visit, and even heading into that. He was originally scheduled for May 30th, then June 6th, then June 14th. So there's a few change-ups there, but it's all worked out now. He was a top priority recruit at the position for Michigan. As you said, he's a very hard-hitting safety. Gets into the box, makes plays, works in coverage as well, but probably more of a strong safety, I think. At the next level, maybe a nickel, but I think we're looking at a true safety in Jordan Deck. Really good player, fits a Michigan mold. Yeah, not much more to say there. I think he's a good add to the class and probably fits a mold we don't currently have in a true safety, as I say.
It's funny because I agree, but you almost have to consider any defensive back recruit for Michigan could end up at nickel, because it feels like that conversation's coming up with recruits. We saw it in spring camp where like literally every DB is getting a run at nickel, and they're not limiting that spot to a smaller type player anymore. They're looking for a Kyle Hamilton like guy, the bigger nickel type player. So you see a guy like Jordan Deck that can come up and impact the run game and is physical and a good tackler, can get behind the line of scrimmage. You're like, oh, maybe he could be too. But I'm with you. I think this guy is more of the true safety. But with how versatile Lamar Morgan likes having that secondary, Deck's a guy I think that can come up into the box or maybe can play nickel. And, you don't know as an offense, maybe he's switching spots with a guy in a certain play, right? That versatility is there. But yeah, true free safety. A little bit of everything, man. The coverage heavy hitting. He's a guy that a lot of people wanted in this class from the get-go and were bummed when he committed to Baylor, and to have him back, or not, I shouldn't say back, but to have him as a commit, I think is a strong sign. And my man Darbo, who just joined in, I know is very, very happy. He might be the biggest Jordan Deck fan that I know. So other commitment, not exactly earth-shattering, Okay. Not a huge surprise. Defensive line coach Louis Esposito's son, Louis Esposito IV, committed to Michigan. He plays out at Salin, obviously near Ann Arbor. Um, there's a lot here, right? So first off, I think a lot of people see this and go, hey, this means Lou Esposito's sticking around for a while, which is something people are really excited about with his coaching and recruiting. Two, your gut instinct might be like, okay, coach's kid, whatever, blah, blah. But when you actually look into the tape and the recruitment here, Esposito's got a lot of legitimate offers and has got some legit tape. He's a 2027 kid, so the junior year could be a really big jump for him. But aside from the last name, this is the kind of player Michigan would typically go after.
Yeah, I agree. I'm doing well,
Offensive
thanks.
lineman, sorry.
Zabo, I think in the chat. Yeah, you're good. But I think those that weight might be yeah, I'm doing well. I'm not sure about that weight currently. It says 255 currently on 3 site, but he told me that he'd been working in the off season to put on a lot more weight. I'm not sure if he's up to that 300 range yet. But I think that was a pretty, I mean, not to go too much into like football side, I know I'm here to talk about recruiting, but I think that he his film suggested that he probably could have put on a bit more weight. He was very agile, which is a good thing. And he's good at getting out the blocks, but I don't think he probably has the arm length, or probably just the overall size to stick at offensive tackle at the next level. I think as his ranking suggests, he's a true interior offensive lineman. And as such, he probably needed to put on more weight, which I think he's been doing this offseason, which will bode well for him moving forward. Salin is obviously a great program, so you can't dispute that he's playing a low level of talent or anything like that. I don't think he's a nepo baby type. I think he's actually a true player. And his commitment to Michigan wasn't. I don't think it was even that much about Coach Esposito. I think that was more the fact that he's grown up in Michigan, and he's grown up around the program, and he's seen the program, and he told me that ever since he was young, I mean, he's wanted to play for Michigan, and it was a dream come pretty much. I mean, obviously his coach his dad had a role, but I think he was a true kid that just really wanted to end up at Michigan, ended up working out, and he performed well at the camps in June, earned his offer, and obviously has ended up committing. I think that was always likely, as he said. I don't think it was particularly earth shattering that he ended up committing. It was pretty likely from the get. But yeah, it's a good ad, and it's the first commitment of the 2027 class. So obviously you want to get those building blocks early. I think you're seeing 27 kids start to come off the board pretty early. Probably earlier than we've seen kids in earlier recruiting classes ever come off the board. But yeah, it's a strong start to the class, and I think he's got a lot of upside, and I'll be interested to see how he plays in this season, as you say.
Yeah, I know he's an offensive lineman, but I started talking about his dad, and that kind of got me off tangent. So, but that's a good point, right? Like he was recruited by Grant Newsome, obviously the connection to Lou, but he wanted to be recruited as a regular prospect, and they didn't want that perception. It's unavoidable, same last name, like whatever. But I'm with you. I definitely see him as a guard at the next level, but it's funny, like the 2027. I can't believe we're talking about these kids already, but we are. Like some of the top quarterbacks are already dropping, and that's just where we're at. And I don't know if even like this class is large for 26. A lot of teams are largely done, and there'll be some fall re-evals and whatever. And it used to be the fall official visits were the biggest part of recruiting, and now a lot of those kids are already committed. So everything's kind of moving up a little bit. Quarterback recruiting was always a little ahead of schedule, so that's not crazy shocking. But Michigan, when we look at their 2027 strategy for quarterback recruiting, they've made it clear they've learned from the mistakes of the past. You're not just doing Bryce Underwood. We're not doing just Brady Smigel, excuse me. We're stacking quarterbacks, and Michigan is involved with some big time targets in the 2027 class, starting with the biggest target of all down in Louisiana, Elijah Haven.
Yeah, that's a big one. I'd say he's probably the highest upside prospect in the class, maybe at quarterback. I don't know. You could make an argument for Kavian Bryant, we'll get to, but Elijah Haven is a boom or bust prospect, and about as boom or bust as they come. I think he's 6'5", pretty impressive weight. His throwing technique is a little wonky, but I think he'll get there in the end, and with some development in the offseason. And from what I gather, I think Michigan has the lead at this point. I've had pretty consistent contact with his coach throughout the period and his dad, Kwame. And I think Michigan may currently have the lead. I don't think they're pushing as hard as they probably could either. I think that he's been impressed by the camp. I think Chip Lindsey's made an impression on a lot of these quarterback recruits. I think in a way that Kurt Campbell never really did. I mean, I haven't been on the beat that long, so I can't really say for that, but I think they've kind of been like intrigued by Chip Lindsey because I mean, you look at Drake. I think we've talked about it at length, but you look at Drake May at North Carolina and putting up some record-breaking passing numbers under Chip Lindsey. That's kind of something that we haven't really seen from Michigan. And the prospect of that happening in the future at Michigan, which is already established as an elite defensive program, an elite running back program. If you feel like that quarterback and wide receiver position, and obviously offensive line is also elite. I mean, what else are they really missing? And I think that these quarterback recruits are kind of seeing that opportunity. And yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like Haven will end up at LSU. I think Michigan will probably pursue some other targets a bit more significantly than him. But if we're talking about right now, if he were to commit to one school, I think it'd probably be Michigan at this stage.
We agree a lot on Haven and Darbo, and I do not agree, which is I do think there is a bust element with Elijah Haven. I think right now we've got him listed at 6'4", 205. I think he's bigger than that. He is a monster, and he looks he looks like a grown man playing like with middle schoolers when you watch the film, right? His ceiling is sky high. I'm with you. Like, it'd be smart to bet on him being an elite quarterback at the next level, right? And that's why he's rated as high as he is, currently the number one quarterback in the class.
But he's slid too, though. I don't know. I was just saying he slid a fair bit in the rankings.
Yeah, he's like 15 overall
he's
now.
dropped
I
a fair
think.
bit.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think by the Rivals rankings. Oh, you go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're all right. Yeah, it's with the obviously Rivals rankings are up now, and the old ones have dropped on 3, whatever. But I look at Haven, and I think he will end up at LSU, like you said as well, because LSU, Brian Kelly especially, can't afford for Elijah Haven to leave the state. Right? The optics of that would be horrific. You think flipping Bryce was bad, losing a kid from Baton Rouge like this would be wild. And that's why I'm going to try and segue here. But there's another kid in Louisiana that I'm actually higher on, that I think right now, when you watch the tape, looks like the better quarterback. And I wonder if, to your point, you said, maybe LSU's not, or Michigan's not pushing as hard as they could for Haven, and we think he could end up at LSU. I think there's a good chance to sneak in and get Malachi Zeigler, another kid in Louisiana, another fits the mold kind of prospect in terms of quarterback. But when I watch him, he's smoother, and he just looks like a better passer to me. Now, there's a lot more elements to it, the competition they face, et cetera, et cetera. If he's the backup plan to Haven, then I'm on board, is what I'm getting at, I guess. And you can get into more quarterbacks. There's other names here as well. If you want to start talking about Bourque and some of those other guys here as well. But my opinion right now, if I had to choose, and again, this is without junior tape, that could completely change everything. But right now, I lean towards Malachi over Haven personally.
Yeah, I think, as you say, we agree on a fair bit, and I'd be pretty aligned with you there. I don't think I'm not sure he'd be my number one quarterback this cycle. I've got another name which we'll get to there, but I think he's a strong number 2 for me at the moment, and he's a fair bit ahead of Elijah Haven for me, honestly. Because I think when you look at Michigan's, maybe not Well, yeah, I think I stick with that. I think in terms of the kind of quarterback that Michigan wants to recruit and the kind of player that they want, I think that they need. I think that Malachi Zeigler kind of fits the mold. I'm not saying that he's a safe prospect, but I think he's got a better blend of upside and floor, like
Yeah.
than Haven.
I mean,
Because I think when
again,
you're
we don't
looking
have
at
junior
Michigan's
year
like
tape yet.
quarterback,
None of
yeah,
these guys are safe. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's early days to be saying those kind of things, but I mean, granted, I'm sure I have some bias because I talk to him a lot, and I know him, and I really like his personality, and I think he'd be a great fit as a person in Michigan. But I think that his tape is so good, and he's such a smooth, like as you say, he's so smooth on the ball, and it looks easy for him. But I mean, when you watch Havens from the feels like like forced almost, like his throwing technique. I'm sure he'll work on it obviously. But yeah, he's a really good player. And I really like him as a prospect. And uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure LSU will try and pull something to get them both. But uh, I really hope that Michigan wins out for Ziegler. And I think they're number one for him by a fair bit. I think.
So if Ziegler's your 2 and Haven's not your 1, who's your number 1 quarterback prospect on the board for Michigan right now?
That'd be Keegan Croucher. I'm a big fan of him.
Ooh.
I think he's got. I don't know if that's a bit of an interesting take. I've seen Peter Bourque higher on some other people's boards. I think it's a very interesting 2027 QB class. I think it's stronger than this year's class by a fair bit. I think outside of maybe DFL and FaZe and Brandon, I haven't really looked into their film that much. I've seen a lot of DFL, but I think this 2027 QB recruiting class is really intriguing. And King Croucher is one of the more intriguing prospects for me. I really like his blend. I mean, I talked about the blend of upside and ceiling, and floor, sorry, of ceiling and floor. And I think Croucher is that kind of guy. He's got a great blend. As I say, he looks smooth. He feels like he just feels like a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Yeah.
um you look at the offer list today, he's got Penn State and Syracuse, Indiana, Ole Miss, but like I don't know how to explain it, but he kind of gives off. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but just the way he plays it feels so easy and it feels very projectable.
Mm.
Not to say that Ziegler isn't projectable. Haven, I don't feel is that projectable yet. But I think that Croucher is the most has I yeah. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but his polish is really I really like his polish as a player. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, as
He
you said,
he just looks
Blake in the
like
chat says
he
he's a
just
good
looks like a
baseball prospect.
quarterback, man. I know that's
Yeah, just when he plays, I don't know how to
yeah.
explain it. Like it's
There's
not because he's white. Like I'd say the same about
I
like
I'm
I'd say
I'm
the
just
same about
laughing. I had
Bryce
a
last
huge
cycle.
debate. Like I was just gonna say, I just had a huge debate with somebody last night. Actually, I think Blake, who's in the chat right now, was part of this. We were talking about, with Bryce being at the size that he's at now, like it's okay to compare him to Josh Allen. He doesn't have to be Vince Young. I think Bryce is more Josh Allen. It's okay. No, what you're talking about, young man, Aidan, is that it factor that nobody knows how to identify. Some guys just have
That's
it.
not.
And you don't know what it is, but
I
when you
think
see
Ziegler
it,
has it
you think
too.
I agree. Different. He
Yeah,
Ziegler's got they're both baseball players, but Ziegler's a catcher and has like some of the best pop time in the country. It's actually unbelievable. And the way I mean, nowadays with Patrick Mahomes, you see it everywhere, this more sidearm delivery from some of these kids. But that zip that Ziegler's got on it, it's just something else in his throwing
yeah,
motion. Croucher, just the way he stands in the pocket, the way he's on his, bouncing on his heels. He just has it. He looks like he's been playing. I wouldn't be shocked if his dad's like a quarterback coach or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's clearly been
yeah.
around the position for a long time in terms of mechanics. Um,
I think one of the recruits. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you
an
good.
interesting note is that one of the
There's a
recruits
little
I
bit
talked
of a
to earlier in the
delay,
cycle
so
said
we're
that
good.
yeah one of the recruits I talked to earlier in the cycle said that Michigan was looking at taking 2 quarterbacks, in 2027, like 2 higher ranked quarterbacks, than like the Herb Street, Underwood
That
combo we
would
got
be
last cycle.
interesting.
I think we're looking at like that 70s to what 200 range.
Yeah,
Also, I don't think Trey Taylor is really an option. I I don't think there's been really any contact there since he's committed to Nebraska. But
yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but yeah,
All
yeah, I
good.
think yeah, there's a lot of his cuts are really wide now, and I think that's kind of building towards having some options and building out that quarterback room. I think they realized just coming off last year, I think he just realized how poor that quarterback room was, and I don't think they're ever trying to make that mistake again. I don't think.
No, that's why, when Jake Garcia was added in the portal not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and people were kind of like, "Oh, what does this mean?" I'm like, honestly, I thought Michigan was going to take two quarterbacks back in like the winter spring portal, right? Like that was kind of always the goal, is
Yeah.
to completely rebuild that room, right? So I think they're going to
Mhm.
continue to be active in the portal. You're right. I wouldn't be shocked if they go two QBs. If it would be two higher ranked QBs, I think that'd be somewhat surprising and really impressive considering, what they have in front. But the nice thing is it's not hard to project here. Like Bryce is going to start this year and he's going to be gone in 3 years, right? If he's
Yeah.
not gone after the 2027 season, then things have gone terribly wrong. Right? And you're talking about a
Yeah.
completely different issue at that point. So I don't think anybody should be scared off by that. And then this idea that like, oh, they also have Brady. Like every program's taking top quarterbacks. If these guys are looking for a window where there's nobody in front of them for the next 2 years, okay. But every program's taking a top QB at this point. So
Yeah.
um
And they kind of transfer as well. Like
yeah, it's just part of the game
players are
now.
going to transfer inevitably, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I think you take who you can get. And if they see an opportunity to take two high level quarterbacks, who'd be happy to come in the class together, you do that 10 times
Yeah, if
out
they're
of 10.
yeah, and if they're guys that want to come in and compete, and also too, you're raising the bar of your quarterback room and development, right? We've seen this a little bit technically with Jaden Davis, where people were surprised maybe he didn't transfer out. And I really like his thought process, which is if I leave with no film, where am I going? Right? I'd rather
Exactly.
stay at Michigan, be in the room with Bryce and under Chip Lindsey, see what happens in the next couple years. At worst, I've been developed at Michigan for 3 years. I've been in a really good quarterback room, right? I'm a better prospect in the transfer portal than if I just bailed after a year. And that's what Michigan's got to get to. And back to your original point, the Kirk versus Chip Lindsey element. Michigan still largely has to sell a vision because they as a program have not done it on the field yet in terms of the passing offense. But Chip Lindsey doesn't have to like he can show his resume. He's done it before, right? And I think that's a huge value when it comes to recruiting. Michigan's still got to do it on the field. They got to prove it. But this isn't like, hey, we've never done it before, but we're going to with you, right? Chip can say at every stop I've been, here's a quarterback I've done it with. So I'm with you. We're already over 20, so I think we're probably good. There's a lot more to discuss. You went on a rampage. I'd say early this morning, but I know it's not morning for you. But you went on a rampage today and dropped a bunch of intel and articles over at Maize Blue Review. Obviously, don't share the intel, but if you want to give people an idea real quick of the information they can find from you on our website today.
Yeah, I think what I have, oh yeah, the Dolph McDonald article, the interview there, that was a really good one actually. Yeah, I think he's not a super well reported on cornerback. He's a 4-star ranked in the top 300. Only 160 pounds, but really like fits the mold of what Michigan's recruiting. Reminds me a lot of Dorian Barney just in his football IQ, and the way he plays. And that interview really interesting actually, just as someone reading over it. I mean, I found what he said quite interesting. But and then we had the mock recruiting class, the fourth one of the far, or the fifth one if you include the 2027 one. I think for the first time, all the all the players currently committed, were in the final mock recruiting class. So I had Brady Jennings leaving the class for a while, but yeah, I think that's reflecting how strong this is and how well tightly knit it is together, which is a good thing. Got a flip target in there who I won't say for the sake of getting people to subscribe to the site.
Yeah.
And then also the and the Jalen Powell film review, which I mean, I think I've had about 3 or 4 articles on Jalen Powell in the last month. So if you're a big fan, then there's a lot to be had there. But I think I'll probably have one more article up today that I'm almost done with, and then yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to not keep trying to hype up Jalen Pyle as the rankings continue to not reflect the kind of player we think he is. That kid is a Michigan man already and locked in. He's been a huge part of the recruiting effort for Michigan. And yeah, Michigan's lucky to have him. So any coverage that Jalen Pyle can get is good by me. And your mock recruiting classes are one of my favorite things you do. I think you know that. So I'm always excited when I see you post one of those. But if you guys want access to Aidan's intel, which again is constantly flowing, again, Maize Blue review, we're on 3 now. If you just search Maize Blue review, you can get access to Aidan's intel, all Michigan intel, all the national intel from Wilt Fong and the folks at Rivals, everything from the college sports coverage at on 3, which with NIL and everything that's happening there right now, tons of coverage there as well. It's a $1 promo for the first week to give us a shot before the rate kicks in. And we've also got, our guy Brock is on a plane heading to Las Vegas right now to cover Big Ten Media Days. Got Sharon Moore speaking at the podium tomorrow, as well as a few Michigan players, and the season's right around the corner. I've already begun dropping my position breakdowns and position battles and depth chart breakers and all of that stuff ahead of obviously fall camp intel coming as well. So please, if you're not a subscriber already, please head over Maize Blue Review, join us. We'd love to have you. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube live, we appreciate you being a part of the conversation as always. If you're listening back or watching back and want to be part of the conversation, go to YouTube, Maize Blue Review, like, subscribe, notification bell so you know when we go live, when Dennis goes live with Good Afternoon Michigan, or on Sundays if Hail to the Podcast is ever able to return, if me and Josh and Brock can get everything aligned ahead of the football season. But of course, the goals will be every Sunday once the season kicks off. So I think that covers everything. Another great show, Aidan. You are the man from down under. We appreciate all your work, dude. You're absolutely killing it. So thank you so much for what you do. And thank you guys for being a part of it. We'll see you guys in a week. Who's got next? Thank you.